All right, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you because learning is a journey, it has no end. In the school of learning, you and I, everyone, we are learning. So there's no superior, there's no master, and there's no father in learning. I learn, so we are all co-learner together in this journey. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful morning. I know everybody's busy, so I know weekend, so many tasks, even me, this to do. But it is essential we have moments to rub mind, moments to reflect and to review. I'll be very brief. At the same time, I will have to speak to two principal topics. The first topic is the integrated performance management itself. What is it all about? What do we need to look at it at in it again? Of course, we all know what it means. We know what performance is, but as we look at it carefully, systemically, we need to analyze it, what it means to individuals, what it means to a team, what it means to a business, and what it means to an entire cycle of stakeholders, investors, employees, customers, government, and then communities. So it means a lot to different people. And then one of them is the model, which is the BSc model that I want to look into, aside every other models. And the reason why I chose BSc is just to look for a common principles we can just take a look at as far as this is concerned. Now you see three words here: integrated performance and management. When you say integrated, it simply means bringing all the various elements together. As I said, there are quite a number of different models you can use in performance management system. So when you now say integrated, whether it is a OKR, whether it is BSc, whether it is a performance contract, whatever method you use, what you are saying is that you need to integrate them to deliver the reality of an expectation. Performance, what is it? What we say and do. Management, ability to utilize available resources, man and machine, to achieve unlimited expectations. So let's go quickly so that we don't waste our time. And then according to Maxwell, he was asking the question: what does performance actually mean in terms of people? And when you talk about people, what categories of people actually perform? Here, it gives us 4 insights. The first is people who do the right thing without being told. Now, we call them proactive. They do the right thing. You don't have to be reminding them every single day. Have you submitted reports? Have you done this one? Have you done that one? Where is this one? They know what to do because they are professionals. They are experienced and experts on their subject matter. Therefore, they know what to do. So when you bring in an HR manager into a system, you don't have to start telling him and say, do this. He knows what to do. It's like when you bring a patient before a doctor. The doctor knows what to do. He's a doctor. He's an expert person. He can tell you that this and this sign, this symptom, this is what you need. He knows what to diagnose. He knows what to approach. He knows where to stand. He knows where to stop. Similarly, a professional in his field knows what to do when he mounts the podium of a new responsibility. So when he does the right thing, he knows what to do, he knows how to calibrate activities. You say he is proactive performer. Then the second one is people who do the right thing when told me once. Now, these people may not be at the top. Because if you're not at the top, don't forget that in a system, you have the top that formulate policies. And then you have the middle that implement the policies, they cascade it, and you have the floor guys who execute. So for the guy who formulate policies, he knows what he's looking for. The guy who implements, he needs to seek input from the top before he does the implementation, so that whatever he's doing is in tangent, is in line with the top. The guy at the floor, he can't do anything. He needs to take order. So for that guy, that kind of person, he needs to take order to execute. But when we talk about those who are supposed to be at the top, a line manager, in every organization you have line managers and functional managers. Let me just differentiate what the difference between the two. A line manager is a final authority in your echelon. In account department, for example, if you have CFO is a line manager, is a final authority in that profession, in that department. There are other functional managers. These are managers who handle roles and responsibilities within the accounting portfolios. You have management accountant, is a manager, is an accountant, but is a functional. He manages by functions. And then you have treasurer, and then you have a reconciliating accounting officer, and then you have cashier. So you have those functional aides too. They are manager, but they are not the They are only line managers. They have 5 functions. And then you have those other ones who are also auxiliary and supporting staff. So go back to what it says. It says people who do the right thing when told, a line manager, a CFO, that you have to be reminding him, telling him what to do. In fact, teaching his work. We say he's active. Because it is when you tell him, he does it. It's when you inform him, he does it. It's when you explain to him, he does it. So, such a person, you say, is active. He's not proactive, but he's active. He's still manageable. Yes? Okay, the third one are people who do the right thing when told more than once. You see, it's a line manager. We are not referring to junior ones now who have to take instruction. A line manager, an experienced person, a HR manager in charge. You need to tell him again and again and again and again. We call them reactive performer. Their performance is premised on activity. It is premised on the fact that you have to severally remind them what they are supposed to do as part of their obligation. And the last set of people, we call people who never do the right thing, even no matter how many times you tell them. We call them hyper-reactive. You see, the first 2 people, you can keep them in your system. The last 2, don't keep them in your system because they will destroy your system. And this way, they have no initiatives, they have no intelligence, they have no creativity, they don't bring anything. In fact, the forms and the templates and the instruments and the document they are using for the past 3-4 years, it is the same document they are still using today. Nothing new, no addition, no subtractions, no review, no new ways. They just remain like that because they will never do the right thing even when told. And then you have to tell them over and over and again before they can make things happen. So if you look at the war in performance, you look at your system. What kind of people do we have? People who do the right thing without being told. People who do the right thing when told. People who do the right thing when told more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And people who never do the right thing. So look at your system and begin to check what kind of people do we have in our system. Now let's go quickly to performance. What is performance? What we say and do. If you say we want to achieve X, Y, Z, if we achieve it, we have performed. If we say we want to do this thing, if we do it, we have achieved it. Don't forget that performance is classified into 3 components. The first is the corporate performance. And the second is the departmental or functional or unit performance. And the third is the individualized performance. Now, you must understand that it's a cascade. It's a flow from individuals to theme, from theme to the system. When a system performs, it means we as individuals are performing, right? And when the system is not performing, it means individuals are not performing. So there is no magic behind it. If there's individualized failure, there will be team failure. If there's a team failure, there will be corporate failure. So the performance itself is not the tool or the instrument. Some people mistaken it and say, okay, it is the form. The form is not the performance. The form is just an instrument to gauge, to measure, to reflect, to review, to check, to reframe what actually happened. So if there are no instruments, what happened that we will not be able to have the science and the act and the philosophy and the principles and the model by which we arrive at that figure. If you pick, I was looking at my children's report card and I was looking at how did you arrive at this percentage. To get that percentage, you have to go back to assessment tests. You have to go back to class tests. You have to go back to assignment. You have to go back to the exam. And then when you see 20 plus 10 plus 15 plus 30 plus 60, it gives you the entire performance. Similarly, organizations too. When you see that, okay, our financial, let's say financial, for example, we want to achieve 10 billion. That's our target. That target of 10 billion will be cascaded into languages. For example, now, you can't ask HR to bring money. No, their role is not to bring money. Their role is to support and supply right, competent, skillful people. And when they supply them, their role is to train them. And when they train them, their role is to provide atmosphere, platform, culture, situation that allows them to perform. And their role is to situate them, ensure that these people are well placed in the right place so that they can perform. That is what HR needs to do. And when you come back to account, the role of account is not to bring in money. Rather, how do we manage the fund we have? How do we optimize the fund we have? How do we cut costs? How do we remove unavoidable elements that are capable of eroding the profit? How do we standardize regulatory so that we don't have issue with government? How do we ensure that resources are placed appropriately? I mean, financial as well. That's what concerns account. And when it comes to sales doesn't have to go and recruit people. Sales doesn't have to manage the money. Sales has to bring in the money. So their role is how do we evaluate and cascade and get into the market and bring in more money, reach more customers, expand our customer origin, environmental scanning, penetration strategy, bringing in what it takes so that we can win, and then they turn it money. So if you look at all these elements and all these principles, they apply to each person. And when HR brings the right people, you see, because the right people you bring and train and coach and mentor and culture is the one that will bring in the money. And when you bring that right person, it's the same person that will manage your funds and accounts and have integrity. But when you bring in bad person, faulty person, failure, incompetent person, you will wrongly post $5 million into a wrong account. I know a client. The guy posted $60,000 into an account, and the MD brought out bet and beat him. He said, "How can you? $60,000 was gone." So if you bring in wrong people, they will bring down your system. And that's what he's talking about. So what we say and what we do is performance. Simply. Now, how do we ensure? There I put some grammar here according to Armstrong and others. But what you are talking about is you need to say we want to do this thing, and we need to set mechanisms in place to ensure that we are able to do it, whether as individual, as a team, or as an organization together. So why do we have to manage performance? Why? Why do we have to say, okay, we want to review? Even in the school, even primary 1, KG1, they do exam for the babies. So if they do exam for the babies, how much more individuals? How much more adults? How much more corporations? So why do you have to do performance? One, we need to achieve optimum level every time. Performance is not what we do once in a while, once in a week, once in a month. It's every single day we are performing. We perform today, we perform yesterday. We are performing yesterday, we perform next week. Monday to Friday, we must perform. If we turn it out, that is performance. So the essence of performance is because we want to achieve optimum. You got that wrong, not low, optimum. Why? Because there's a minimum requirement and deliverables every single person must soak into the system. Two, to want to identify areas that we are not doing well so that we can say, hey, we are not doing well in this area. Among team, among the system, among individuals, say, these are the areas you are not doing well. You can call it area of weaknesses. You can call it area of improvement, whatever language you want to use. But you must identify, why are we falling? We say we want to achieve this thing, but we are not hitting the bullseye. Where and why the gap? And now you want to see how we can help management to manage competent levels of team members. That's another reason. There's people who are performing and they're delivering value. You need to sustain them, keep them, reward them, recognize them, strengthen them, reinforce them, and encourage them. And then you want to forestall. There'll be gaps. It could be from 1 or 2 or 3. It could be from everybody. It could be from the top, the middle, the lower. You need to forestall expected gaps that might show up. Some of them have not shown up. Some of them are showing up. Some of them have shown up. But your role, while you are managing performance, is to forestall them. Now, but what does it even entail? Okay, we are managing performance. What does performance management actually entail? Because we must know what it entails. Because oftentimes there are gaps. There are languages and barriers to communications. There are issues with template and instrument. There are issues with expectations from management and employees and managers. So why or what does it entail? One, it means you want to evaluate individual employees. In my work as consultant, I have observed that when there's a system problem, the system problem starts from the top to the least person. It's not a machine problem, it's a people problem. Doesn't mean that there are no machine issues. No. What means that once you resolve human problem, you are able to resolve machines and tools and equipment problems. So the first thing that you want to evaluate, this guy, this man, these people, this team, this department, this our system, what is our contributions? What is our optimum? What is our deliverable? So by doing that, you are able to evaluate. That is what it entails. The children that go to school will come back at the end of the term and quarter, and then you say, where is your report card? Where is your assessment sheet? What are you doing? The child does not hear the child. He needs to evaluate the child contribution vis-a-vis what have been thought. And then you train. You learn. You see, in the course of execution, we learn, we make mistakes, we develop, we improve, we get better. And then you also want to develop employees' development, general development now. It's not just training, but learning. Because in learning, everything is co-created. Learning, understanding people, working together, co-creating, learning, peer review, evaluation, mentorship, coaching, on the line, and all manner of interventions we are developing, we are building. Just the way we give out to children. You're feeding them after breast milking, you buy milk, you buy this. You want the child to grow, the child to develop. They try to grow physically and mentally and all parts. The same thing, it entails development. The system must develop, a child must develop, adult must develop, every single person must develop. It involves on-the-job coaching. In fact, 75% of our development is embedded on the job. What we are doing every single day, how we are doing it, how we are improving, how we are getting better every single day. It involves delegation. You give this task, that task, this task to that person, to these people. And they even mentorship, step by step. Follow me step by step. Follow the way I do things, the way I talk, the way I carry this thing, the way I execute. It involves reward. Recognizing me. At the end, you want to recognize me, you want to reward me, you want to say, take this one, take that one for doing this. You could see what Zenbank has just done now and GTBank. 100% review. That would not have been possible if there were no performances. So it shows that something had happened in the inside. It involves PIP or PDP. I'm not referring to our political party. I mean personal development plan or intervention or personal intervention plan. How do you want to develop? How do you want to solve these peculiarities and this virus or this attrition in your deliverables? It involves staff retreat. It means going back, rejudicating, renovating, reinforcement, and looking into how best we can come stronger. It involves periodic meeting. That's why you are meeting you're meeting in your group, in your department. Why? You are looking at how best do we supplement and then put things in shape. So this management of performance, you can use appraiser as one of the instruments. Now, when you now appraise people, whether you use appraiser as a tool or appraiser as a language, sometimes some of these are just language. Appraiser, I want to appraise you. I want to evaluate you. I want to reflect on you. I want to review your performance. I want to review your deliverable. I want to measure you. I want to audit you. Whatever language you use, it doesn't matter. But what does matter that there's something you want to do, which is what I want to evaluate. Now, why do you have to evaluate me? You send a child to school, Madam Ogoshi. Madam Bilawa, you send a child to school, and then at the end of the term, the child comes back. And you are asking, can I see your report card? The child said, no, Mom. In my school, there's no report card. Really? He said, yeah, there's no report card. So what happened? The way we go is the way we come back. How will you feel? Can somebody give me an answer? How will you feel? After the child has come back and he says there's no report card. How will you feel? Anybody there? How will you feel? At the end of the term, the child is back home and you have paid so much money for school fees and just says there's no report card, there's no assessment. How will you feel? Yes. Anybody there? How will you feel? You won't feel happy. You feel disappointed. Why? Why? Why do you feel disappointed? Yes, sir. Why do you feel disappointed?
The expectation is not met by me.
Thank you so much. Because as a parent, you have expectations. You know that I've been teaching the child A, B, C, D, but there's something you want to measure. How much has my child comprehend this thing? How much has my child been able to write ABC on his or her own? So you come back at the end of the time that says, there is no report card. Pay another money. You say, I am not going to pay any money if I don't see evaluation. So why do we have to evaluate? We evaluate because we want to, what cannot be appraised cannot be measured. Anything you cannot measure, anything you cannot appraise, you can't measure it too. What is not measured cannot be improved upon because that is going to provide basis for improvement. And then it will help us to gather information about the skills and potential of existing staff. That's what it does. We are able to gather, information about the existing staff. Not only that, it will help us and assist us to carry out SWOT analysis, the strength, the weakness, the opportunity, and the threat. It will give us opportunity to speak up. The person will speak up. No, I didn't score this card. I did better than this. How did you give me this, man? How did you give me this, sir? But I did my work. It helps the people to speak up if they have been wrongly assessed. It helps us to identify gaps. That's why. Because if we don't identify these gaps, how do we close it out? So there are common concerns, common issues that we always see and notice in every evaluation system. One of them includes self-interest of managers or departmental heads. When my self-interest outranks the interest of the department or the personnel I'm evaluating, I'll be sentimental. My appraisal, my judgment will be based on halo effect. It's not objective. It's based on sentiment. It's based on emotion. It's based on what he has just done. I didn't count every other one. When management cannot be trusted, We can't trust management. All the appraisal we've been doing is in the dungeon, is in the dustbin. It's not, nothing is done about it. When staff are already disgruntled, they say, I don't believe in this system. I don't believe our management system. Every time appraiser, nothing has happened to it. They do not even score us appropriately, nor reward us handsomely as defeat. I don't believe. When promises and rewards are not kept, every year we do appraisal, no promotion, no increment, they say we don't trust the system. When openness are not there, we are not open, we are not real, we are not transparent. The CEO say, promote this one, leave this one. No, we don't use appraisal. When employees are treated poorly and therefore do not care about what they do, they say, what is the appraisal? I'm not doing it if life is coming 0. Even those who have been promoted, they were scored poorly, but the CEO say, please promote them. And those who have been highly scored were not promoted. So what's the justification? When there's no